Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. As demonstrated quite beautifully so by the fact that not only is The Elder Scrolls 6 finally the sole focus of Bethesda, something that it should have been like 8 years ago when it was announced, but also that we will be seeing Fallout 5, a Fallout New Vegas remaster, and a Fallout 3 remaster as well, all thanks to Asher wielding the lash with determination and free of any and all weakness of mercy and sympathy. Yes, Asher. Teach those filthy layout wastrel game developers to fear the consequences of their inaction. And there is much fat yet to carve, but before we get to that, as I'm sure we will have many wonderful reasons to celebrate the fat carving in the near future, Bethesda. The Elder Scrolls 6 is our top priority, and Fallout 5 enters pre-production. Now, bear you in mind here, by the way, any and all claims you've seen that they've totally been working on Elder Scrolls 6 is just a lie. Just a bald-faced fucking lie, okay? Nobody has actually been working on the next Elder Scrolls, and if they have, it basically amounts to some concept art here, or maybe a loose idea over there, like, oh, what if we do this? Oh, there you go, that's active development. They've got nothing, and in all due likelihood, considering the problems with their current game engine and Starfield, oh god, they're probably going to have to basically start from scratch with this, with brand new engines, or at the very least an absolutely hilariously massive optimization of what they've got, and frankly, Starfield didn't work. It didn't look good, it didn't feel good, and it certainly didn't achieve what they wanted it to do. Even Bethesda must surely at this point realize that that old beaten up engine is far beyond its purpose now. Although, well, that probably is going to switch to fucking Unreal, but anyways. In fact, no, actually, they probably are going to have to switch to Unreal or some other pre-made engine because they don't have the time to begin from zero, but okay. Elder Scrolls, we're not going to hear much about it for another year at least, probably 2, honestly, before we start seeing anything really meaty, if I'm correct. As for Fallout 5, even worse, probably, but at least they're working on it. And Fallout New Vegas is now being remastered, which is an interesting kind of take, because, well, the problem is, if they just leave it as is and, pretty it up a little bit, then good, wonderful. But this idea of a new Fallout as well, from the New Vegas developers, I don't think it's going to work out very well. I think it's going to work out terribly. Now, not because it's not Bethesda, mind you. Bethesda does not deserve to hold that franchise any longer, for they have done absolutely nothing with it. And to be fair, neither has anybody else, I suppose. But they absolutely need to be whipped into action to actually get back to making video games, and the hope here is that the whipping also included strict instructions on making what people actually wanted. And Fallout 5, alright, again, here's the problem. Obsidian, right, is working on a new Fallout game. So there's lots of Fallout coming, and then there's a Fallout 5 coming from Bethesda as well, apparently, plus remasters of New Vegas and remaster of Fallout 3, which I don't know how to feel about the remastering of Fallout 3, really, but hey, if we're remastering New Vegas, we might as well, I suppose. And all of this comes in the wake of those layoffs. But again, they were merely carving middle management. The people who are already there to make games will still be there, and the hope is that they will be interested in making the game, rather than the game that middle management will want them to produce, and there's the big kicker. So, Obsidian, as I've already talked about, is not a very good company. It is no friend of ours, and pretty much every game they've made since Pillars of Eternity, and you could certainly argue that it already showed signs of the cancer to come, has been nothing but a disappointment and a downgrade. The idea that they will somehow be able to do justice to Fallout, it's very, very unlikely. It's a gritty, dark, brutal universe, and not one very fond of, asexual side characters or ugly designs in general, frankly. And the Elder Scrolls as well. The Elder Scrolls has now remained dormant for a very long time, and worst of all, its predecessor is Skyrim, which is one of the most heavily modded games ever, probably the most heavily modded game ever, that has been sold in duplicate copies on every fucking device known to man, to every human being, woman, and child on this earth 3 times over. The expectations for Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be astronomical, and worse still, bear you in mind here, Bethesda doesn't want you to be modding, okay? Well, they do want you to be modding, that's true, but they want you to be modding for them, as seen by things like Fallout 76 or the Bethesda Creation Club in Starfield and so on. Though they did back down quite a bit from Starfield to the point where now it's got Star Wars mods and full conversions and all kinds of interesting things, but Bethesda doesn't want modding, not really. They would prefer it if they could keep all of the money on the Creation platform, and I am almost certain they will want to try to do that with their next flagship title. And frankly, the only thing standing in between us and official sponsored Bethesda modding is probably this monster right here, and that's a double-edged sword, because whilst Asher has been very, very deserving of her name, of devastation in general, she is still a corporate stooge, of course, who is doing this explicitly and specifically to increase the profitability of the companies that have remained mired in identity politics and other bullshit nonsense that simply doesn't earn any money for far too long. And a push against modding, that would be a fantastic way, potentially, to earn some cash, as the expectations again. Right, before we even get to the fear-mongering about modding, and there will be a lot of fear-mongering, don't get me wrong, and it will be deserved as well, the odds of Bethesda being able to create another groundbreaking Elder Scrolls games is low as it is, though with the lack of middle management, the hope is that more of the creatives will be able to actually do what they want to do, and hopefully that the creatives are not weirdo leftists, as that is very much also a possibility. Right now, we are all celebrating the firing of many layers of middle management, as we absolutely should, but bear you in mind, we've also seen the gaming sphere in general be infested by a huge quantity of the LGBTQIA plus P elemental M, etc, etc, etc. These people are probably still a lot there, so the question becomes, where was the rot the thickest? Was it middle management? Was it HR? Was it in the creatives? Was it in the peoples running the studio? We're now finally going to be receiving our answers to that, as Bethesda has one chance right now. They need to nail Elder Scrolls and Fallout both, which I mean technically I guess are 2 chances, sort of. If they flop, the studio is probably done. It's going to be sold off for bits and pieces by Microsoft as they strip it of its IP and anything that remains of even vague value, especially in an age of remasters as well, as proven by Assassin's Creed Black Flag, by the way. These companies, Microsoft, now know that Bethesda isn't necessarily a guarantor for success, as proven by Starfield. They are going to be shown that Obsidian is not a guarantee for success. We are entering an era now where the corporate investors no longer believe that the creatives are imbued with some sort of special power, that just because you've got Bethesda making an RPG, it's going to be great or it's going to sell well. They're going to understand that the value lies in the IP and in people's memories and love for it. And frankly, if they could hand that over to somebody who actually produces somebody people would buy, you get my general drift, as I'm speaking far too quickly for my own fucking senses today for some goddamn fucking reason. then they don't need Bethesda. And with the thriving modding market, honestly, there are so many people out there that these companies could actually approach and hire for fucking talent. God, the number of people who have made voiced AI and companion mods far better than anything Bethesda or any mainstream corporation has ever produced. There's dozens of them. You could hire virtually any one of them, even on a freelance level, give them wages, give them access to people and design, and have them make things for you. You've got the guy who, what was it, the Falskar expansion? A massive expansion to Skyrim, which he basically said that he did as a form of CV to get into games development. There are already talented individuals out there practically begging for a chance to get in the door, and the only reason they're not allowed in is because of the entrenched elitism of the asshats who are sitting in those companies to begin with, who prefer to hire people based on their personal pronouns rather than ability to actually make something. And again, this is all rather speculatory, as it is entirely possible that all of these companies will botch this as well and simply be murdered for it. There's every possibility that the magic of Todd Howard, the name, will simply no longer be enough to protect him. And after Starfield, a major failure with an Elder Scrolls or Fallout would be just that, particularly a remaster of New Vegas. Oh my god. If the New Vegas Remaster is a disaster, and there is every possibility it could be, then that is going to be the end of Obsidian. It's probably going to be the end of that form of RPG for a very long time as well. And whilst that may sound sad, listen, this is a necessary purge. And, there's also here, right, remastering New Vegas should technically be relatively easy. You've already gotten the game, all you need to do is remaster it, fix the graphics, make it a bit prettier, update the modding, and if you were really clever, you'd rope in the most popular mods as an optional part of the video game, launching it with in essence two modes: Vanilla, which is the game as it was upon launch, and Enhanced mode, with then a checklist of pre-installed mods, companion mods, voice mods, UI mods, etc., survival mods, enemy mods. Take it all, package it right in there. And again, I guarantee you, if these modders receive an offer from Obsidian or Microsoft saying, hey, we would like to include your mod, most of them would leap at the opportunity just to be mentioned in the credits of the game. The rest, toss them $1,000 and they'll be more than happy to. Fuck, half of these people would be on board with helping you. Again, it should be a facile task to make a fantastic Fallout remaster. Again, with 3 as well. It should be absolutely facile to do this, as you have something that virtually no other attempt to remaster a game has had: the most vibrant, beautiful, and amazing modding communities in goddamn history. Work with them, and you might be able to cut yet more fat. You know how much Asher loves to wield the knife after all. But my personal prediction remains that the hubris of these studios will remain. I don't think it's just HR and middle management. In fact, most of these people, I believe, were a symptom of the disease, not the disease in and of itself. Most of these people, again, to have 14 layers of middle management, that is not some decision you make out of concern for quality. Nobody's sitting there like, yeah, this is very important. We're gonna have to pass this shader through 14 fucking inept assholes to figure out whether or not it suits the setting. Of course not. Most of those people don't even know what they're working on half the fucking time. No, that is a result of incestuous hiring practices. That is one guy getting a work at Bethesda and going, wow, this is a cushy fucking job. I get paid thousands and I barely have to do anything. All I really need to do is point to an artist and go like, no, too sexist. make her tits smaller, and they give me a fucking bonus. I gotta get Tim, my cousin's son, in on this. I've gotta get Shawarma, my cousin's third philanthropic sibling, in on this, etc, etc, etc. Otherwise, you simply don't get 14 fucking levels of idiots in between you and a finished product. And those people, the people doing the hiring, they're probably still there. They're probably part of the original crew, as bear you in mind as well. Most of these people who were once very creative have now been sat there stewing in the fucking poison of modern day progressivist game making for decades, okay? They have breathed this shit. They have lived in this fetid environment. They are a literal example that chaos corruption is very much so fucking real, alright? I don't think they can do it. I genuinely don't. I would love it to be proven wrong, but after The Caped Crusader, I have no such faith anymore, and I'd be deeply surprised if I'll be proven incorrect on this. Fallout 5 and Elder Scrolls 6, in all due likelihood, are gonna bomb. Fallout New Vegas, I give a 50-50 chance at best. Fallout 3, much the same. I think they'll probably be neutered games, though Black Flag did prove to us that even if you neuter it a little bit, sheer nostalgia may still carry you forward on a surprisingly buoyant wave of success. Honestly, if you want a really dark prediction as well, by the way, just to end this all up here, if all of these become successes, just like Black Flags, you are going to see companies basically stop making new video games. Because why the fuck would they? If random indie developers can outsell them on the daily, selling billions of copies of a fucking hiding game that two people developed in their basement on a budget of fucking chewing gum packets, then why should any AAA company spend hundreds of millions on their own video game when they can still simply just reach back into their catalogue of beloved titles, pull one out and you're like, ha, look, it's the stretched out carcass of the thing you once loved, and then deliver it to you freshly wrapped in its own flesh, and presumably earn millions doing it. Still, where there's a whip, there's a way. And just the simple fact that these games are now finally being made is the very first indicator that the companies are at least listening on the surface level to what the consumers want. That is a step in the right direction. Time will prove if it's a baby step or not. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.